In the words of John Legend, go ahead and give me the green light. Today we're talking about green flags in a relationship. Go ahead and cue my theme music. Hey Rebel, welcome to Untoxify Your Relationship. Here we will talk about all things healthy and how to get that toxic mess out of you and your partnership. I'm your host, Melissa Webb, a practicing licensed mental health therapist with 10 years experience. All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. Hey y'all, so this is the last day to vote. So go ahead and vote for Untoxify Your Relationship for the Women in Podcasting Awards for Best Faith-Based Podcast. Now, I also know in the beginning I talked about John Legend, and I know I probably aged myself. And also, for those of you that know the song Green Light, you already know what that means. This ain't that episode. We talking about green flags in a relationship. So get your mind out the gutter. I just noticed, green light, green flag. Let's just go ahead and hop into it because I'm not finna have y'all come for me today. So green flags. Green flags are like green lights. Green means go. You have the green light. You can go ahead and go. It's safe to move through the intersection. Last week we talked about yellow flags and we talked about how yellow flags are yellow lights. So today we talking about green lights and green flags. Green flags means positivity. Those are positive behaviors that someone is displaying in a relationship, and therefore it means that, okay, this person is cool. I can see myself with them. I like how they moving. Okay, cool. That means that we can continue on this journey of dating. So I know a lot of times we talk a lot about red flags and yellow flags and all the bad things that can happen in relationships. We tend to forget that there are a lot of successful relationships out there because they have a lot of green flags happening between both parties in the relationship. So today I want to celebrate positive behavior and traits that people display when they're in relationships. So today we're going to talk about what are green flags, like what do those look like, and I'm gonna give a whole bunch of examples of what those green flags are. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So green flags indicate that someone has the potential to be safe, healthy, and has what it takes to be in a healthy long-term partnerships. So when I think of green, I think of three things. The first thing I think of is green light. So like I said earlier, green means go. When you're going through an intersection, that means that you're safe, right? That there's safety in that green light. The second thing I think about is money. For the love of money. Yeah, money. So when you have lots of money, you feel secure. So there's some security when it comes to money. And then lastly, I think of the color. The color green actually means to be calm. That's the psychology of colors. If y'all know anything about that, the psychology of green is calmness. Also, when I think of calm, I think of stress-free. So when we're thinking about green flags, we need to think of safety, security, and stress-free. Those three things help us to know what a green flag are. Do you feel safe? Do you feel secure? That's my St. Louis accent coming out. Do you feel secure? And is a relationship stress-free because of these behaviors? So let's go ahead and get into some of these examples. So one example of a green flag is the person that you're with. They are self-aware and they have self-control. So when it comes to being self-aware, they understand how feelings and situations impact them. So they understand their body, right? Because every time, when something happens, sometimes you can feel it in your body. Sometimes your fists get balled up or you get a headache. So you understand what some of these body sensations mean when you're in different situations or when you're feeling some type of way. You know your triggers. You know what triggers you. It's not like, oh, I don't know why I just got upset, right? It's like, no, I got upset because when this happens, this is how I respond, right? So you understand your triggers. You also have some emotional intelligence. That's knowing how emotions connect with you and how they connect with your body, and knowing how to respond when these things happen. Also, you have some self-control. Self-control is restraining yourself from impulses, desires, and actions that may be harmful or sinful. In Proverbs, it talks about how a city with no walls is someone who lacks self-control. So you have to know that being self-aware and having self-control, they really go hand in hand. Because if you're not aware, then you can't control. So if you're not aware of how your body responds, or you're not aware of the emotions and all the things that can trigger you, then you can't control what's happening with you, right? So we also know that we also need the help of the Holy Spirit to help us to have self-control. We know self-control is a fruit of the Spirit. So therefore, we can't do this by ourselves. We have to be aware of our bodies and our triggers, and become very self-aware of ourselves. And then 2, we have to have self-control through the help of the Holy Spirit. When someone has those 2 things, like when we see that in a relationship, that means that person will be able to move forward in tough conversations, will be able to understand their emotions again, and not really take it out on you or come at you on sideways in a really mean way. They're able to apologize. They're able to repair ruptures in the relationship. Another thing that's a green flag is honest about their needs and wants. These people ain't playing games. They know what they want. They know, like, speaking from a female's perspective, they're looking for a male. The male might be like, yeah, I want a wife and kids, and I want a healthy relationship, and this is what I'm bringing to the table. So they know what they want, and they know what they want in a partner. And they're very upfront about it. Like, they're not going to be playing. They're going to be very transparent about what they need and want. So this fosters transparency, this fosters trust, and it leads to a deeper connection when someone is upfront about what they want and what they need. Another thing that is a green flag is that they are committed to personal growth, and they are open to wise counsel. I put both of these together because if you're going to have a growth mindset, you have to trust people to either teach you, or you have to trust and be open to people to growing, right? And so that can look like going to therapy. That can look like getting a life coach. That can look like expanding your circle to have more wise counsel around you. That just means that you're open to changing and bettering yourself when you have a growth mindset. And also, that person may seek heavenly wisdom, right? Because we know earthly wisdom is a thing, and earthly wisdom, as the Bible call it, is foolish or foolishness. So whoever this person is, they are seeking out heavenly wisdom, seeking again that wise counsel to help them to grow and learn and become the best version of themselves. Number 4, they are also committed to their personal growth with Christ. So that can look like studying the Word, serving others with love and humility, and doing prayer and fellowship. Now, I'm going to say this because I want to be very clear. Just because someone goes to church doesn't mean that they have a relationship with God. That's 1. 2, just because they're doing stuff in church doesn't mean that they have a relationship with God. Just because you see them praying and reading the Bible don't mean that they have a personal relationship with God. You can tell if someone has an intimate personal relationship with God by their fruit. And what I mean by that is, are they displaying the fruit of the Spirit? The fruit should always point back to Christ. So we know that, I always think of it like this: a tree. God is the trunk and you are the branches. And from the branch, that's where we see the fruit that is produced. Now, if the branch ain't attached to the tree, the branch gonna die along with the fruit. Or if the branch ain't doing what it's supposed to do, it's not gonna produce the type of fruit that needs to be produced. So I always tell people, yeah, they can go to church. They can even be the pastor. I don't know. However, if they are not producing good fruit, then they are not as close to God as they probably could be, right? And this is no shade. This is not judgment. This is Bible. So we have to stay attached to Christ in order to bear fruit. So that means that it's an intimate relationship. Learning, how we're supposed to treat people through the Bible and how we're supposed to, be obedient and have faith and all the things that come with bearing fruit. So you can always tell someone about their relationship with Christ by the fruit they bear. So I'm going to leave it at that. If they ain't producing good fruit, they probably ain't attached. They probably not attached, and you might want to observe and go from there. That's all I'm going to say. Number 5, they support you having your own life separate from theirs, and they have their own life separate from yours. So in the short term, we know, like, when we first meet each other, we're like, oh my God, I just want to be around you because you're so cool. And I want to get to know you and all the things. But I always tell my couples, anybody who I ever did one-on-one with, whether it was a couple or if it was individual, it's always good to have space. Space is good. Space is lovely. It's always good to go out with your friends and have a good time with them and then return, or have a girls trip or a men's trip or whatever it is. Space is good, because what you're going to find out is when you're in these long-term relationships and you don't have that space, you can feel smothered, you can feel on top of each other, and it can get convoluted. So always allow space. Always have like your own friend group. Always, be able to move in a way where you don't need anyone's permission. 1, because you don't need permission to go anywhere. You don't need anyone's permission. And 2, like, you have a space where you can go to kind of regroup and recollect yourself and be your own individual self, and not try lives are just enmeshed in each other, because that can be a hot mess, because we don't like enmeshment. Number 6, their words and their actions match, because that's a huge thing that I see people doing. Like, their words and their actions don't match. And so we need to make sure that when we're dating people, if they say they're going to do something, they need to do it. If they say, like, hey, if I ever get mad at you, I'm not going to take you off the Sam's card, then they get mad at you, then they take you off the Sam's card, that's not cool, right? Especially if that is something that they said that they were going to do. Words and actions need to match up. Apologies and change behavior also need to match up. That's not on here, but that is a thing that needs to happen. Apologies and change behavior, because that is a real thing. So a lot of people apologizing, but they ain't changing behavior. So now your words are void, because at this point, why you even apologizing? Just keep that. Go ahead and keep that apology. Number 7, they respect your boundaries and they respect their own boundaries. So RESPECT, right? Respect, respect, respect. If someone is respecting your boundaries and they're respecting their boundaries, that tells me a lot about them. That tells me that not only do they respect you, but they respect themselves. And someone who respects themselves means that they love themselves. So it's a lot that goes into that. So if you have someone that's doing that, shout out to them and shout out to their green flag. Number 8, they have open, honest conversations, because who wants a partner that's a liar? Or who wants a partner that wants to shut down and close people off every time there's a tough conversation? We don't want that. We want people who actually know how to talk. We're all adults. Let's use our words and be able to express ourselves in a healthy way. And that way we can get things done. We can have these tough conversations. We can be able to move forward in relationships. A lot of times people don't know how to talk, and the relationship is stuck wherever that situation happened that they have not talked about, because everything's going to always go back to, well, remember when this happened and we never talked about it? So make sure that you all are having these conversations. So if you got a person that can have a conversation and they're open, honest, and transparent, again, shout out to that green flag. And lastly, they forgive and they give grace. Forgiveness is huge in a relationship. And the reason it's huge is because we're dating imperfect people. No one is perfect. If you think that you are perfect or your partner is perfect, you are lying to yourself, and you need to undo that lie. Because the truth is, we're all imperfect, and the person that we're dating is imperfect. So mistakes are going to happen, and there needs to be forgiveness. In the Bible, it tells us to forgive. That is like a commandment that God gives us, to love one another, to love each other, forgive, because we don't forgive, then God will not forgive us for our sins. So we need to be able to forgive people. Now, that don't necessarily mean reconciliation, right? I understand sometimes people do egregious things, and I think sometimes people think if I forgive them, then I have to let them back in my life, or if I forgive them, then I have to stay with them. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying for you, carrying a grudge is a whole lot to carry. It's like carrying a bag full of bricks all around, and it weighs you down. So forgiveness is for you. Forgiveness is letting go of that bag of bricks. Forgiveness is freeing yourself from your own prison of keeping someone hostage, right? And so what needs to happen is, yes, forgiveness does need to happen. And if you have someone who can forgive you and give you grace for your mistakes, especially if it's an honest mistake and it wasn't like intentional, even if it was intentional, right? Giving you grace for your mistakes and being able to forgive you, then yeah, you got a real one. And again, that's a whole nother episode on forgiveness and apologies and mistakes and when to reconcile and when not to reconcile. That's a whole nother episode. But for the most part, all I'm saying is having someone who can forgive and give grace, that is definitely a green flag. Those are all the green flags that I have today. And I just want to just share, like, there are people out there that can do these things. I know we always say dating is a cesspool. I ain't gonna never find my person. And, it's hard to find people in this dumpster fire of dating. Yes, there are some trash people out there. I'm not going to even lie. There's some trash people out there. However, there are people out there who have the characteristics and the behaviors of green flags. And they are out there. You just got to get through the sludge to get to the good stuff. So I would say continue to date, continue to find those people who match with you. Find those people who have those green flags. And again, find those people that align with you when it comes to dating and a relationship. And you'll be like, I got me a man who got all the green flags. And that's a real thing, and that can happen. So you can have a successful relationship. We just got to get the green flags going. And that's it. That's the post. Thanks for listening. Tell your auntie, uncle, and cousin and them. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe. Share it with everybody. Stay classy, stay non-toxic, and I will see you next time. Peace. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and share this episode with your family and friends. Don't forget to check out the quiz to figure out what your toxic trait is. The link is in the show notes. Thank you, and see you next time.